A few years ago, Andrew Tate was talking about some streamer who was obsessed with him, copying everything he did, trying to move like him, talk like him, basically become him. And back then, that story sounded like a flex. But there's that old saying, the brighter the flame, the faster it burns out. And right now, it honestly looks like the internet is watching Andrew Tate start to burn out in real time. Because the guy who once called himself the top G, the untouchable, the guy who couldn't be questioned, doesn't really feel untouchable anymore. In 2026, the energy around him is completely different. You can feel it even if you're just casually scrolling. Something's off. The confidence that used to feel dominant now feels reactive. Like instead of controlling the narrative, he's chasing it. And what makes this whole situation even more interesting is who stepped in to challenge him. Sneako. Because this isn't just some random internet drama. Sneako didn't come in throwing insults or trying to farm clout. He started pulling apart Tate's image piece by piece. And once you start seeing those cracks, you can't really unsee them. If you've been paying attention over the past year, you've probably noticed something bigger happening too. The whole manosphere wave that used to dominate podcasts and TikTok clips, it's slowed down a lot. That era where guys were blowing up by shouting alpha advice into microphones and attacking modern culture, it doesn't hit the same anymore. Platforms changed. Policies got stricter. Audiences moved on. And when your entire brand is built on attention, dominance, and constant visibility, losing momentum hits harder than anything. Because at the end of the day, relevance is the real currency. So what happens when someone who built their entire identity on attention starts losing it? Instead of stepping back and adapting, Tate seems to be doing the opposite, pushing harder, louder, going after anything that keeps him in the headlines. And that's where the clash with Sneako really starts to matter, because Sneako didn't just go after surface-level drama, he went straight for the foundation. To understand why that hits so hard, you have to remember what Tate's entire brand was built on. For years, he preached strict, almost absolute principles, no compromise, no selling out. Stand on your beliefs no matter what. Reject the system. Stay disciplined. Stay consistent. There was no gray area in his message. That's why it worked. But once the spotlight started fading, people started noticing things didn't fully line up anymore. And Sneako didn't just hint at it, he said it directly. Because here's the contradiction. For years, Tate criticized certain platforms, saying they promote gambling, adult content, all the things he claimed were harmful. He told his audience to stay away from that. The message was clear. Don't align yourself with systems you stand against. And then he started promoting those same platforms. That's not a small inconsistency. That's a full reversal, and Sneako called it out for exactly what it looked like. If you build your entire identity on rejecting something, and then you turn around and profit from it, what does that say? That's not hate. That's a question. And what made Sneako's approach different is that he didn't need to scream. He didn't need to insult. He kept it simple. Principles matter. If you tell millions of people to follow a certain standard, you don't get to quietly break it when it benefits you. Because once you set that kind of standard, people will hold you to it. And that's exactly what started happening. Clips started resurfacing. Old statements got compared to new actions. The internet started doing what it always does, digging. And suddenly, it wasn't about drama anymore. It was about credibility. For years, Tate's entire appeal was built on the idea that he would never sell out, that he was different. So when Sneako framed the situation as selling out, it hit directly at the core of his brand. And at the same time, Sneako made another point that resonated with a lot of people. Just because someone influenced you once doesn't mean they are above criticism. Loyalty to truth should come before loyalty to personalities, and that completely flipped the usual dynamic. Because for the first time, Tate wasn't dominating the conversation. He was responding to it. The guy who built his image on control suddenly looked like he was defending it, and that shift matters more than anything. Because when your entire brand is built on being unshakable, even one visible contradiction can start breaking everything. And then things escalated. Instead of keeping it at a debate level, Tate shifted it into spectacle. He challenged Sneako to a fight. Classic move. Turn a conversation about principles into entertainment. It grabs attention instantly. But Sneako didn't play along. Reports started going around that there was serious money involved, like up to $1 million for the fight. And still, He declined, not dramatically, not emotionally, just calmly, basically saying it doesn't benefit him, and that response hit differently because it framed the whole situation in a new way. Like, if this fight mainly helps Tate regain attention, why take it? Especially after everything that already happened, including the loss to Chase Dior, which already chipped away at that untouchable image. By not taking the fight, Sneako removed the spectacle completely, and without that distraction, everything went back to the original issue, the contradiction. Meanwhile, people also started noticing something else. The audience has changed. The same people who used to push Tate to viral dominance aren't the same anymore. They're more experienced, more skeptical. And it started to look like Tate was trying to tap into younger audiences again. New streamers, new spaces, even changing the way he talks. And to a lot of people, it felt forced. After the fight didn't happen, things escalated again. There were hints about exposing Sneako, encouraging clips, trying to push certain narratives. But, again, it didn't really land the way it used to. Instead of looking powerful, it started to look messy. And Sneako handled it the same way as before. No panic, no overreaction, just addressing things directly. Even when old or manipulated content started circulating, he went live, explained it, and removed the shock factor completely. And that's important, because when you take away the surprise, you take away the power. At that point, the whole situation stopped being just internet drama. It became something bigger. For years, Tate controlled the conversation. He set the tone. He dominated the space. But now, it feels like he's reacting to it, trying to stay in it. Meanwhile, Sneako positioned himself in the opposite way, talking about bigger issues, sticking to his stance, presenting himself as consistent. And whether people agree with him or not, consistency matters, because over time, that's what builds trust. And when you zoom out and look at the bigger picture, there's a clear pattern. The internet moves fast. The same audience that makes someone huge can move on just as fast. Shock value fades. Controversy becomes predictable. And eventually, people start asking deeper questions about consistency, about credibility, about whether someone actually believes what they say. And that's the phase Tate is in right now. Because when your entire brand is built on strict principles, you don't get much room to slip. At the same time, a new type of creator is growing. Less noise, more consistency, less spectacle, more alignment between words and actions. And that's why this whole clash got so much attention, because it feels like two different eras colliding. One built on dominance, volume, and constant attention. The other built on consistency and long-term trust. And when people see that shift happening in real time, it becomes bigger than just two individuals. It becomes about how influence actually works online. Because in the end, this space rewards people who play the long game, and what started as an attempt to embarrass Sneako ended up putting the spotlight back on Tate. The accusations, the challenges, the constant attempts to stay relevant, they didn't shut the conversation down. They amplified it. And now, the image looks very different from what it used to be. The aura isn't gone, but it's definitely weaker. And whether that's temporary or permanent, we'll see. But one thing is clear, the momentum has shifted. So the real question now is simple. Can Andrew Tate take back control of the narrative? Or has the internet already moved on?